Let's talk about generalized anxiety. We all worry about anxiety at some point in our lives. It becomes a problem when the worry becomes excessive. When you're experiencing high levels of anxiety, you start worrying about being in control, you start worrying about what ifs, everything becomes overwhelming. You feel restless and tired most of the time. You feel irritable and sometimes experience disturbed sleep where sometimes you find it difficult to fall asleep or to stay asleep. You feel anxious and apprehensive to the point of feeling overwhelmed where you avoid certain situations. Perhaps you stop socializing with other people or you stop doing things that you actually love doing. Just remember, anxiety is very common and you are not alone. Occasionally, you may feel very consumed by the worries and the what ifs. You start having different scenarios. You go to the worst case scenario all the time. You start worrying about bad things happening and you get so caught up in those scenarios so much that they feel like it's happening. Living in fear and you'll be feeling on edge, and problem solving becomes a challenge. Decision making becomes a challenge as well. And you start trying to problem solve things that you can't problem solve, like hypothetical situations. You end up trying to preempt lots of situations and avoid situations that you think are potentially stressful. Here are some tips to consider in managing anxiety. Take time to notice your worries and pick one specific worry to work on. Ask yourself if it is an actual worry or hypothetical worry. You can also ask yourself if you can actually do something about the worry. If you're unable to do anything about the worry, that may mean that's hypothetical worry, something that hasn't happened. If you can do something about the worry, then make a plan to do whatever it is you need to do, make a decision, problem solve. But if you can't do anything about the worry, again, that means it's actually in the future, it hasn't happened. Finally, I would say you end up just getting caught up with things that haven't happened, feeling so consumed by worry that it deprives you of joy. When you've managed to problem solve, focus on the here and now. Sometimes to take your mind off things, you can think of a lovely memory that brings a smile to your face, and just remember to live in the here and now. So there is a specific component of worry that we look at in therapy. This is called intolerance of uncertainty. When you become so intolerant of not knowing that you are trying to guarantee that nothing bad is going to happen. This will lead you to just trying to problem solve things you can't problem solve, and you end up getting so consumed and very exhausted because worrying about those things is going to be very exhausting. So finally, I would say try and write down your worries and ask yourself the same questions we were talking about earlier. Is this an actual worry or hypothetical? Remember, if it's hypothetical and you can't do anything about it, you let go of the worry and change focus of attention, where you switch and think about something that makes you feel good or a lovely memory that just reminds you of what life can be when it's going well. Therapy gives you so many options. So we're going to look at what we do in therapy when working with generalized anxiety. There are different aspects. When we're looking at what maintains your worry, we're looking at the cognitive aspect of it, like the thinking processes. Sometimes there are thinking biases. You have situations where you jump into conclusions, you're overgeneralizing, or you using a mental filter where you are only focusing on the negatives, dismissing the positives. And you may be thinking of extreme situations. So what we do with that is we can target specific negative beliefs where we start challenging them, how it makes you feel. And then we look at evidence to support the belief and evidence against the belief, focusing more on the evidence against the belief. Sometimes we call it court of law, where it's almost like it's the defense against the prosecution, if you like. So in the end, you end up getting an alternative perspective, having looked at all the evidence you've put together. You can then reach a more objective, more realistic conclusion. So that's a cognitive aspect of therapy. So there you have it. If you found this useful and you'd like to try therapy, you can contact us at Gatcombe House in Portsmouth. We are Fresh Start Psychological Services, and you can send us a text or call us on 07395814312, or you can send us an email, and our email address is